What if I told you that your own mouth is your greatest enemy? That every word you speak could become the weapon used to destroy you? Imagine this. A casual joke you once made is now being quoted in a boardroom as proof of your incompetence. A late-night confession whispered over drinks has been quietly stored away as leverage. A single complaint you uttered in frustration is now reshaped into evidence of disloyalty. You thought those words dissolved into the air the moment you spoke them, but they didn't. They stayed alive, etched into the memory of someone who is now ready to use them against you. This is not paranoia. This is the brutal reality of human interaction. Every empire that has fallen, every friendship that has collapsed, every career that has been destroyed, somewhere in the story, there were words spoken that should have remained unsaid. Loose tongues topple thrones faster than invading armies. And while you may believe you can trust those around you, history and psychology tell us otherwise. Niccolo Machiavelli, the master strategist of power, warned centuries ago, those who control their words control their destiny. He understood that words are not innocent, they are currency. They are weapons, they are seeds of both triumph and tragedy. The powerful know when to speak and, more importantly, when to remain silent. The weak confuse honesty with safety and end up handing their enemies the very ammunition that ensures their downfall. Your mouth can either build your empire or betray it. In the next moments, we will step into 10 situations, 10 psychological traps where your own voice can become the sharpest knife turned against you. If you believe you've been safe all these years, prepare to see how dangerously exposed you really are. Before we dive into these lessons from Machiavelli, I want to invite you to join this journey with full awareness. If you find value in piercing through the illusions of modern life and uncovering the raw truths about power, psychology, and self-mastery, then don't just watch, participate. Hit the like button to let this message spread further. Subscribe to the channel and make sure you turn on the notification bell, because every week I release videos that are not just content, but weapons for the mind. The next time I drop a new video, you'll be the first to receive it, while others remain unprepared. You'll already be sharpening your strategy. We live in what many thinkers now call the surveillance society. Cameras on street corners, microphones in our phones, recording devices in every pocket. The tools of observation are everywhere. But the greatest danger to your privacy, your reputation, and your future is not the technology watching you. It is you. It is the words leaving your mouth every day. Words that can be repeated, twisted, and weaponized long after you've forgotten you said them. Think about it. How many times have you vented to a friend, believing your frustration would vanish into thin air? How many times have you made an offhand comment, a joke, or an exaggeration without thinking twice? You assumed people would forget. You assumed your words would stay in the moment. But nothing vanishes in a world obsessed with collecting information. One loose sentence can become the foundation of a rumor. One vulnerable confession can be recorded and replayed. One careless promise can shatter trust forever. Machiavelli warned that the first step to losing power is believing that words are harmless. They are never harmless. Words build alliances, but they also plant suspicions. They can inspire loyalty, or they can ignite betrayal. A single sentence can undo years of careful reputation building. That is why rulers, generals, and strategists throughout history spoke less than they knew, and always less than they felt. The truth is, you don't need enemies when your own mouth is working against you. Every person who has ever fallen from grace, whether a leader, a celebrity, or an ordinary worker, has at some point been betrayed not by someone else's sword, but by their own voice. They revealed too much. They confessed when silence was safer. They shared secrets with the wrong listener. And once spoken, those words could never be taken back. The danger is subtle because it hides in everyday situations. You feel safe after a few drinks, but your guard slips. You achieve success, and your ego craves recognition. You face stress, and the pressure makes you admit things you would normally keep hidden. You trust someone who looks vulnerable, and you share secrets in the name of compassion. Each of these moments feels ordinary, but in reality, they are traps, psychological traps that strip you of control and hand your power to others. That is the purpose of this video, to expose the 10 critical moments where your own mouth becomes your greatest liability. Machiavelli spent his life observing rulers who lost kingdoms and men who lost influence because they underestimated the power of their own words. He discovered patterns, predictable situations where people are most likely to betray themselves. And today, those lessons are more urgent than ever because your voice now travels further, lasts longer, and can be replayed forever. Our journey ahead will reveal these 10 situations in detail. You'll see how anger turns into a confession booth, how alcohol transforms into an interrogation tool, how sympathy becomes a weapon, and how promises become prisons. You'll recognize these traps in your own life, and you'll see how easily you have been manipulated without even realizing it. This is not about fear, it is about awareness. Because once you understand these situations, you can master them. You can train yourself to recognize the bait before you bite. You can transform silence into your shield and strategy into your weapon. The wise do not speak to satisfy emotion. They speak to strengthen their position. By the end of this exploration, you will understand Machiavelli's warning that the tongue is the most dangerous tool in your body. Controlled, it commands respect and shapes destiny. Uncontrolled, it digs your grave. And now, let's step into the first of these traps, the rage revelation. Now that you understand the hidden danger of words, it is time to shine a light on the exact situations where your own mouth becomes your executioner. These traps don't appear in rare, dramatic moments. They hide in the everyday conversations you dismiss as harmless. A joke shared in anger, a story told after a drink, a promise made under pressure. Each feels insignificant in the moment, but together they shape the course of your destiny. Machiavelli observed rulers, soldiers, and ordinary men fall into these same patterns centuries ago, and nothing has changed. Human psychology is timeless. We still get angry, we still brag, we still confess when we should remain silent. And each time, we pay a price. What follows are 10 of the most dangerous moments when your own mouth turns against you. Recognize them, and you reclaim your power. Ignore them, and you guarantee your own downfall. Let's begin. 1. The rage revelation. Anger is truth serum. In the heat of fury, your brain shuts down its security system, and your mouth transforms into a confession booth. Everything you've carefully hidden, the grudges, the resentments, the thoughts you swore you'd never say out loud, comes pouring out like poison. The person standing in front of you in that moment is not just an opponent. They are your interrogator. By triggering your rage, they have discovered the fastest way to extract your deepest truths. Carl Jung once warned, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Anger does exactly this. It forces the unconscious into the open. But once it's out, you cannot take it back. The more someone knows about what provokes you, the more predictable you become. And predictability is the first step to control. They can press your buttons at will, and every time you explode, you hand them more information, more leverage, more power. History is full of leaders who lost everything because of one uncontrolled outburst. A single angry statement can destroy credibility and negotiations, or leave permanent scars on your reputation. You think your rage is righteous, but Machiavelli would remind you, rage is weakness wearing the mask of strength. The truly powerful feel anger, but refuse to display it. They process fury privately and respond strategically, turning pressure into advantage instead of confession. Remember this, your anger is not your weapon. It is their remote control. Master it, and you remain untouchable. Lose it, and you are theirs to command. Affirmation: my anger serves me. 2. The victory parade. Success intoxicates more than alcohol. When you're winning, your ego whispers that you deserve applause. that everyone must know how clever you've been, how brilliant your strategy was. The craving for recognition becomes irresistible. But every time you explain the secret to your success, you're not just celebrating, you're educating your competition. What feels like pride is actually a tutorial for your enemies. Machiavelli understood this trap well. He warned that a wise ruler must never reveal more than necessary, for exposure invites exploitation. The more details you share, the more your rivals can reverse engineer your victories. Today, in business, politics, and even personal relationships, oversharing your achievements transforms mystery into transparency. And transparency, in the world of power, is weakness. Nietzsche once remarked that true strength needs no applause. Real power exists in silence. The oak tree does not boast of its growth, it simply towers. Similarly, the strongest individuals let results speak for themselves. Their success is not paraded down the street. It is felt, respected, and studied in silence. When you announce every win, you strip yourself of future leverage. People begin to see not your genius, but your methods. And once your methods are known, they can be copied, undermined, or used against you. Mystery maintains influence. Explanation erodes it. Celebrate privately, strategize quietly, and let others remain in the dark. Because the moment you feel the urge to explain your greatness is the exact moment you start losing it. Affirmation. Victory speaks silently. 3. The liquid confession. Alcohol doesn't create new thoughts, it merely lowers the gates that protect the dangerous ones. Each drink weakens your mental defenses, and with every glass, your secrets inch closer to freedom. What takes an enemy months to observe can be revealed in one intoxicated evening. That's why professional manipulators don't need force. They just need to keep your glass full. Consider the bar as an interrogation room with velvet chairs. Laughter flows, questions sound harmless, and before you realize it, you've confessed fears, exposed strategies, and admitted failures. You think you're bonding. In reality, you're being studied. The sober person across the table remembers every word while you stumble into forgetfulness. And what you call a harmless confession can later resurface in a courtroom, a board meeting, or a betrayal. Machiavelli wrote, "A prince, so long as he keeps his subjects united and loyal, ought not to mind the reproach of cruelty." Apply that wisdom inward. Be cruel to your own impulses when temptation offers liquid courage. Because in truth, it isn't courage, it's weakness disguised as connection. In today's world of hidden cameras and endless screenshots, every careless statement made under the influence can be replayed forever. What felt liberating in the moment can become shackles that bind you for years. The wise understand that clarity is power. They choose sobriety when the stakes are high, and silence when temptation whispers. Protect your words as you would protect your life, because in the age of recording devices, they are the same thing. Affirmation. Clarity is my power. 4. The breaking point pressure doesn't build character, it exposes it. When deadlines tighten, when expectations mount, when the weight of responsibility presses down, most people discover that their composure is thinner than they believed. Under strain, the polished mask slips, and the raw self speaks. That is when your mouth betrays you most. Not in triumph, not in calm, but in desperation. Stress transforms confession into survival. You reveal to colleagues that you feel unqualified, to friends that your relationship is crumbling, to family that your career is shaky. You believe you're seeking support, but in truth, you're supplying intelligence. Each admission becomes a crack in your armor that opportunists can widen into a fatal wound. Machiavelli observed, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." When you break under pressure, you inspire neither fear nor love, you inspire doubt. People lose respect for those who can't bear stress without unraveling. What you call a moment of honesty, they interpret as proof of weakness. And once the world believes you cannot withstand pressure, your enemies no longer need to fight you. They need only to wait for the next storm to finish you off. The truth is this: pressure is not the enemy. Your reaction to pressure is. Diamonds are created under heat and pressure, but only when the material can endure. The powerful use pressure as a force. The weak use it as an excuse. Control your response, and you transform burden into advantage. Fail to control it, and you become the very evidence of your own inadequacy. Affirmation. Pressure builds diamonds. 5. The sympathy extraction. Not every predator shows teeth. The most dangerous ones arrive cloaked in weakness. They share polished stories of struggle, reveal just enough vulnerability to disarm you, and invite your sympathy like a master fisherman casting bait. You feel noble for listening, compassionate for opening up in return. But while you're busy playing savior, they're busy gathering ammunition. This is the sympathy trap. You think you're bonding, when in reality you're being stripped bare. Every secret you share to comfort them becomes a weapon stored for later. Every weakness you reveal in solidarity becomes leverage for manipulation. And the cruelest part? They never appeared threatening, they appeared broken. That is the camouflage of the skilled deceiver. Machiavelli warned, men are so simple of mind and so much dominated by their immediate needs that a deceitful person will always find someone ready to be deceived. You need to feel kind, to feel trusted, to feel like the helper. This is what blinds you. You confuse performance with authenticity. You forget that true vulnerability is messy, not perfect. The well-crafted sob story is rarely an accident. It is a weaponized script. Psychology calls this reciprocal disclosure, the human instinct to match intimacy with intimacy. It is a powerful tool when genuine, but devastating when staged. The wise learn to help without confessing, to comfort without exposing, to give without bleeding. Kindness without caution is not virtue, it is naivety. Master this balance, or you will find that your compassion has been converted into someone else's power. Affirmation. I help without revealing. 6. The information exchange. Every social circle operates like a hidden marketplace, and the currency is information. Gossip is not small talk, it is trade. Each secret exchanged, each opinion revealed, is a transaction. But most people are terrible traders. They give away valuable intelligence in exchange for fleeting attention, temporary belonging, or the illusion of trust. In this gossip economy, the rules are ruthless. Information always flows upward toward power. The listener who collects secrets without revealing their own becomes rich in leverage. The talker who shares freely without discretion becomes bankrupt. The smiling colleague who seems endlessly curious. They are not your friend. They are a broker, stockpiling the words of others as future currency. Machiavelli cautioned, the way men live is so far removed from the way they ought to live that anyone who abandons what is for what should be pursues his downfall rather than his preservation. You may believe gossip is harmless bonding, that it should be innocent. But the reality is that it is intelligence warfare. Your words, once spoken, belong to the highest bidder, not to you. Psychology confirms this. People judge not just the content of your gossip, but what it reveals about you. If you betray one person's confidence, others assume you'll betray theirs. With every rumor repeated, you don't just weaken the subject, you weaken yourself. The wise treat information like gold. They listen, but reveal nothing. They gather, but never spend recklessly. In the silent ledger of power, the quiet collector always outranks the noisy trader. Affirmation, secrets flow to me. 7. The authority trap. When authority challenges you, whether it's a boss, a parent, or a figure of power, every instinct in your body screams for justice. You want to defend yourself, prove your worth, and show that you will not be disrespected. But this is the exact trap authority sets. Your protest doesn't demonstrate strength. It exposes your lack of control. Most challenges from authority are not about fairness, they are tests. They measure whether you can maintain composure under fire, whether you can accept criticism without unraveling. When you lash out, argue, or over-explain. You confirm exactly what they suspected, that you are not ready to carry greater responsibility. Your defense becomes your prosecution. Machiavelli observed, politics have no relation to morals. The outrage you feel may be righteous, but it is irrelevant in the world of power. Authority does not reward indignation. It rewards results. The moment you try to demand fairness from those who hold your future, you lose. They are not measuring truth, they are measuring your response. Psychology calls this an authority test, and failing it can collapse your credibility in an instant. People remember not the unfairness of the challenge, but the spectacle of your reaction. A single emotional outburst in front of authority can erase months of competent performance. The wise respond with strategic compliance. They absorb criticism without flinching, then prove their worth through results. They understand that silence today may secure the power to rewrite the narrative tomorrow. The trap is simple: speak, and you look weak. Endure, and you emerge stronger. Affirmation: results prove everything. 8. The revenge revelation. When betrayal cuts deep, the temptation to strike back with secrets is almost irresistible. You know their weaknesses, their fears, their private failures, and in your anger, revealing them feels like justice. But revenge through revelation is not justice. It is self-destruction. Every relationship is a mutual exchange of intelligence. You hold their secrets, yes, but they hold yours too. The moment you break the code of discretion, you announce to the world that you cannot be trusted. Today you expose them. Tomorrow, everyone wonders when you will expose them as well. What begins as retaliation quickly mutates into reputation. You are branded not as strong, but as dangerous in the wrong way, dangerous to your allies. Machiavelli wrote, "Severity should be dealt out all at once, so that their suddenness may give less offense. But revealing secrets is never sudden, it lingers, poisoning the soil of your future." Employers, partners, friends, once they witness you weaponize private knowledge, they mark you as a liability, and liabilities are discarded. Psychologically, revenge offers momentary relief but long-term ruin. Studies show that those who indulge in vengeful disclosure feel worse in the aftermath, trapped in regret and diminished self-respect. You do not punish your enemy, you punish yourself by advertising your lack of discipline. The wise do not waste secrets in anger. They preserve them, untouched, as silent leverage. They allow discretion to build their reputation, while time provides more strategic avenues for justice. Silence today is not weakness, it is investment. Your power grows in what you withhold, not in what you spill. Affirmation: silence is my revenge. 9. The competence theater. Insecurity has a peculiar voice. It talks too much. When you feel uncertain about your abilities, your mouth rushes to compensate. You name drop to seem connected. You over-explain to seem knowledgeable. You interrupt to seem important. But every word, instead of proving your strength, broadcasts your weakness. This is the theater of competence, a desperate performance that fools no one. True expertise does not need advertisement. The surgeon does not announce his skill before the operation. He demonstrates it with steady hands. The general does not proclaim his brilliance before the battle. He proves it with victory. Real confidence is silent because it rests on substance. When you speak excessively to prove yourself, you reveal that you doubt yourself. Machiavelli once warned, "Never was anything great achieved without danger." The danger here is not in being underestimated. It is in proving your own inadequacy by trying too hard. People quickly learn which buttons trigger their need to perform. They can provoke you into revealing information, blurting mistakes, or exposing insecurities, all because you cannot resist proving yourself with words. Psychology calls this impression management gone wrong. Instead of inspiring trust, it erodes credibility. Your performance becomes entertainment, not authority. And once people laugh at your act, they will never respect your power. The wise let results create their reputation. They are comfortable with silence, with being underestimated, because they know that when the moment arrives, performance will outshine pretense. Control the urge to prove yourself verbally, and your actions will prove you beyond doubt. Affirmation: my work speaks louder than my words. 10. The promise prison. When the pressure mounts, when someone demands certainty, when expectations rise higher than your current capacity, your mouth offers the easiest escape: a promise. Promises feel like solutions. They silence the critic, calm the conflict, and buy you time. But every promise is a debt, and debt always comes due. In the moment, the cost seems invisible. You pledge to deliver, to change, to show up, to perform. The relief feels immediate, but it is only borrowed. Tomorrow, when reality exposes your inability to pay, the cost is your credibility. Every broken commitment testifies against your reliability. Every unfulfilled guarantee proves your words are worthless. Soon, people stop believing not just in your promises, but in you. Machiavelli cautioned, "He who builds on the people builds on the mud." Promises are built on the mud of hope, unstable, shifting, impossible to stand on for long. People may want to believe you because your pledge solves their problem in the moment. But when the promise collapses, both you and their trust sink together. Psychology calls this the optimism bias, the tendency to overestimate what we can deliver. But optimism cannot shield you from the erosion of trust. The wise know this, and they promise rarely. Instead, they underpromise and overdeliver. They let reality exceed expectations rather than fantasy betray them. Every careless promise is a prison you build for yourself. The key to freedom is restraint. Speak only what you can honor, and your words will become iron, not air. Affirmation: I promise less and deliver more. Machiavelli once declared, "Politics have no relation to morals." In the ruthless game of power, words are not about truth nor about morality. They are tools. They are weapons. They are levers that move people, shift alliances, and determine destinies. And just as a sword can defend or destroy, the tongue can elevate or annihilate its master. Across history, empires have crumbled not because of armies, but because of words spoken in carelessness or pride. A treaty was signed with the wrong promise. A confession extracted in weakness. A speech that revealed too much. Machiavelli understood this well. Those who control their words rule their circumstances. Those who do not become slaves to their own voice. But why do we fall into these traps again and again? Psychology gives us the answer. Carl Jung believed that the unconscious, our hidden desires, fears, and shadow selves, often escapes through speech. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. What we suppress eventually leaks out. Anger, insecurity, the craving for recognition. These inner forces hijack the mouth and betray us. The tongue, then, is not merely a muscle of communication. It is a mirror of the soul, reflecting the shadow when we are not vigilant. The surveillance society of today only amplifies this danger. In Machiavelli's time, words might reach a court, a battlefield, or a council chamber. Today, every word is immortalized, recorded on smartphones, replayed on social media, dissected by strangers. The digital age has turned casual speech into a permanent record. The careless remark whispered at midnight can become tomorrow's headline. Silence, once a choice, is now a survival skill. Here lies the deeper paradox. We are taught since childhood that honesty is a virtue, that openness builds trust, that sharing is the path to connection. And yet, the harsh reality of power is the opposite. Words, when uncontrolled, strip you of leverage. They make you predictable, exploitable, and disposable. This does not mean one must live in paranoia or abandon truth altogether. It means one must learn the art of timing, restraint, and strategy. Nietzsche once wrote that power is not given, it is taken. But it is also preserved, silently, by those who master themselves. The strong do not reveal every thought, nor every victory, nor every wound. They understand that silence creates mystery, and mystery creates authority. The weak believe they must explain themselves, defend themselves, or confess themselves. The strong understand that presence alone is enough. So what lesson do we draw from Machiavelli and Jung together? That silence protects power, while words expose weakness. That your shadow will always seek to escape through your tongue unless you confront it, discipline it, and command it. That in a world where everyone speaks, the one who holds their tongue reigns supreme. If you wish to command others, begin by commanding yourself. If you wish to be remembered for strength, master the art of saying less. Because in the grand chessboard of life, every word is a move. And sometimes, the most devastating move is the one never played. In a world where everyone talks endlessly, the one who masters silence becomes untouchable. Most people cannot bear the weight of quiet. They rush to fill it with explanations, gossip, promises, or confessions. And in doing so, they hand away the very power they seek to keep. But those who understand the discipline of silence transform absence into authority. They are the fortress no enemy can penetrate, the mystery that commands respect without a single word. Think carefully. How many of your own setbacks were born not from others, but from your own tongue? The careless promise you couldn't keep, the angry words you wish you could take back, the secret you shared with the wrong person. Each became a small betrayal of yourself. Machiavelli observed that rulers are destroyed not by armies, but by their own words. Carl Jung revealed that the unconscious, the shadow, escapes most easily through speech. Together, they remind us that silence is more than survival. It is self-mastery. This is why true power does not shout. It whispers. It waits. It speaks only when strategy demands it. Weakness cannot stop talking, because weakness fears being ignored. Power, on the other hand, has nothing to prove. To master your mouth is to master your destiny. So I leave you with this challenge. Will you continue letting your words sabotage your future? Or will you discipline your tongue into a weapon of precision? Every conversation is a battlefield. Every sentence either builds your empire or arms your enemy. Choose silence when it protects you, and speak only when your words advance you. If this truth resonates with you, don't stop here. Like this video so the message spreads. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell, because each week I release insights that sharpen the mind and awaken the soul. And share your reflection below. Which of these 10 traps spoke to you most? Your lesson may be the key that awakens someone else. Remember, your silence is your shield, your words are your weapon, and your mastery is your destiny.